November the 27th, 2013 it is. Welcome to videos 96, 97, and what will likely be also 98. I have titled them also as psychiatry or psychiatric case against me personally. These are hour-long, groundbreaking videos. I claim them to be groundbreaking videos not only because I will no longer be talking to you about what was done to me again and is taking place against me at this point, which is nothing else than yet another genocide preceded by so many, but will further also instruct you or suggest you, if you like, for what steps to take and not if, God forbid, you find yourself in a situation similar to mine. I will further instruct, point out how to fight back legally. It will no longer to take it anymore, but to show you guys the way how to stand up against this 70 years old communist, Zionist, self-elected tyranny. Why this video is also so great? It's great because it will give you the ability to stand up yourself indefinitely, and I have special in my mind people like myself that are dedicated to white cause, people that are not willing to compromise, negotiate a tyranny that is taking place against us, and even people that were terrorized, is what I used to be at one point in time. Great deal in my life, terrorized to the degree that are not even don't even dare to, I'm gonna say, to write down on a job application and so etc. for what race they are, to declare themselves who and what they really are, because the systems are just really so oppressive, so extremely criminal with their agenda against us and our families, if you like. Their agenda is 70 years old news which is crippled, have lagged behind, and I believe can no longer gain traction at this point, because there are people awake all over the place and are coming forward with their claims. Thanks to people that are awake, this news is no longer news, I would say, regardless of what they perform. And because of that, because of this, they will have to change their tactics. They will have to take different approach, and this is exactly where my case fits in. I believe this to be that will be more and more stuff that you're about to witness here in this video that will take place. That's why I think that these videos are especially priceless, because of stuff that I have stated. It will not only give you the ability to see about what they do, but also other things, what to anticipate and what steps to take in order to fight back. Yeah, and I've mentioned that people coming forward, people are not only awake but are now coming forward with the claims similar to mine. I hope you do understand that 70 years old news, which was nothing else than triggering of matrix, compulsory matrix, or was the education, the brainwashing that you have attended throughout your childhood, when you were brainwashed with a matrix of lies, and it was used throughout your childhood to blueprint that in your head in order to continue afterwards against you with issues such as Holocaust, slavery, and other issues that I have talked about, wrote about on my blogs already, and will talk in some other videos. And in addition to that, with what was and is extremely important part of this 70 years old news, domestic terrorist. That is used greatly to suppress facts of officially undeclared economical war against us and our families. From my previous videos, you already were able to learn that immigration, in fact, is a key word for invasion. We are not dealing with the immigrants, but we are dealing with invaders, and we have about 150 million, at least 150 million of invaders now as a result of this economical unofficial war, economic war, genocide that took place against us and our families, that we have at least 150 million of these immigrants, in parentheses, as a result of this war in our countries. Domestic terrorist news was, in addition to Holocaust, slavery and other issues, used extremely efficiently because it was exactly for this news that this self-elected communist Zionist governments were able to keep gates wide open and even sponsor these invasions on our countries. Just think a little bit, and you will understand that every time when this self-elected terrorist Zionist communist scumbags were able to compel small pro-white individual into shooting, spree shooting, bombing, whatever it was, they were able to suggest it is a white thing, it's a white supremacy thing, even that it is a fact that was about 350 million people, our white people throughout the world, that were slaughtered with forced unemployment, foreign wars, and when I mean by forceful unemployment, I mean by totally divorces, foreclosures, diabetes, heart failures, homelessness, suicides, and so on and so on and so on. That is exactly how they have accomplished to ruin our societies to the degree to which we witness these days. So it was totally used for and for what they have done to us and our families, the genocide, the degree of the genocide that they have done against us, which is, you cannot measure really. It was something that historically never existed. We have faced invasions from anywhere from Turks, Mongols, and so on, but anything similar to this, not yet, throughout the entire history of our existence. Yet in return for everything they have performed against us, for their lunacy, hatred against us, it was only, I would say, this much given in return. But if I press these two fingers together, there is still not enough space that you could that would significate the ratio of crime that was genocide that was done against us versus what was given in return. And since I have mentioned the word return, I would like to correct that. It's not appropriate word to use. I think it's extremely important to be careful about every word we state, because we have become a culture of just taking it, I would say, as it comes, as exactly what they would want us to become. So the return is in my opinion, an inappropriate word. I would like to use word resistance, but it would have been just as inappropriate as the word return. And I say that, because the people, it would be like easing circumstances toward the criminals, toward the Zionist, communist thugs, gangsters that have had engaged in a swift genocide against us, not only with the forced unemployment, but heavily with what I have already talked about, brainwashing, McCulture procedures, and there was much other stuff that I have talked about and for which I firmly stand for. It is the stuff that, if you would say in return or resistance, you would actually give them credit for, credit for what they have performed and what I have stated. It became suggested to us, in addition to 70 years old diarrhea, or so-called free press, by alternative, in a parenthesis, alternative news and media such as Alex Jones and others, that the governments targeted mentally sick people. But I claim for the individual, for the pro-white individual, in fact, that there is no way that individual could be anywhere sick, anywhere to word what is sick. I don't believe that. I am a firm believer that one thing is to deal with the sick individual, and another one is what I have stated, or to persecute individual to the degree that he develops psychosis, which he can no longer handle rationally, and will commit himself to what governments have desired. So they were also trying to associate, white nationalism with what is mental sickness. It's not the case. Mental sickness is associated with communism and Zionism, because the two have produced liberalism, and it is completely known that Zionism, communism, and liberalism produce and have produced anywhere from multiculturalism, pedophilia, bestiality, not anti-Christianity, excuse me, but Satanism. So those are really insane forms of degenerated societies to which we witness, and I take credit for also removing that cloud, that white nationalism as related, as for one to be related to mental sickness. No way. White nationalism is as pure and sane as it gets. Nothing is more sane and pure than your race. Race equals to sanity. So I just want to really declare that stuff for people. Don't be afraid of white nationalism. Don't be afraid of yourself, as if I put that in a proper terms. Now let's go to the reason why this 70 years old news is falling apart. Why obviously the people, because people coming even forward during what they are trying to continue to project the society as white supremacy issues and such. What makes me think that this 70 years old news have detrimentally fallen behind, is lagging behind, and is falling apart with the speed of light, and for which I claim to be nothing else than another Costa Concordia, or the ship that you see right here. That's a big cruise ship that El Capitan have steered into shores of Italy. That's where the ship sank. What makes me think that the 70 years old news is nothing else than irreversible failure? Well, yet during what we witness, and what we witness is period of highly state-sponsored terrorism period. I don't know how much do you remember, but it was about a month ago or 2 months ago when there was another white supremacy, if you like, white supremacy attack that took place in United Kingdom, in Britain, when and where there was a guy that went ahead and have whacked insanely some elderly Muslim and such, with the idea that that would be the way to start what would be HELTER, SKELTER, HELTER, SKELTER, or what is racial war, pretty much news related to Charles Manson and such. Yeah, Nazi news, Nazi like from Simon Wiesenthal, Israeli Nazi hunters chasing Nazis all over the Europe, Nazis from World War II, Nazi here, Nazi there, Nazi, and then what Angela Merkel, ex-Eastern German communist, have anticipated will be trial against Uwe Bernhardt's girlfriend Schape. I think Bitte Schape is her name. Yeah, you see, little dots here, little dots are that make this 70 years old news going, and without this news, the news would die. The news actually is a political agenda. That is the real news. It is crucial, extremely important that right now, and that's what is sign of chronicle failure of the 70 years old news, a fact that you have what we witness right now, mother from Uwe Bernhardt, was a National Socialist in Germany, deceased now, have come forward with a claim. That is the lady that you see right here. With a claim that her son, in fact, was set up by German police big time. And now you're talking about 3 people who were part of what is National Socialist Underground, rated as a terrorist cell, that have carried out 10 murders over 10 years, during which they have spent in hiding. Yeah, sure. Here's the deal. The 3 of them, Bernhard, Schaap and Mundlos, went into hiding in '98 according to data on what there were explosives found in the garage they were using, to what now mom is objecting, and nobody else can really object, because they are dead, except for Schape, who was girlfriend of now deceased Bernhard, son from the mother that I have just shown you. This is individual. This is the guy that was targeted by the police, set him up, him and others. And it's this mom now that is no longer willing to take it, if you like, for granted. Whatever she was brainwashed with, told. And it's really, I would say, fascinating, because she came up forward with her claim against German police during stage that I have described as highly sponsored terrorism, state-sponsored terrorism period. She came forward and she's claiming that it was in fact police who have financed the events, the protests, and is also claiming that it was for the police that have further planted her son with weapons, the weapons that they have also left inside of the flat, her flat that she have left to her son, weapons such as crossbows, daggers, and so on. Something that she says, I'm scared of sharp knives, she says. Wow. Obviously to make her feel that she could be also one of the suspected, you know, that Mom, you know, you better be careful, because we can say that we have found this, in other words, in your apartment, and that you were either assisting your son, or maybe you are also part of this. Crazy, crazy. And the only thing that I can say is that this mom stood up against it. And when you have people standing up against this tyranny, against this 70 years old news like this, in other words, to come up forward and literally make claims against the tyranny, then you pretty much know that this news is falling irreversibly down. There is no more comeback for this news. One of the things that I can say, another sign that I got, and it's like really, really desperate. It shows the desperacy, the situation itself that this news have found itself is fact, that my news was all along, and that was basically all along, covered with news like this one here, for instance.
My name is Robert Connors, and I have served with the Department of Defense for over 20 years.
Department of Defense, whistleblower in a parenthesis.
In both Iran and Vietnam.
Basically what he have to say is that what I have described as McUltra persecutions that took against me personally, due to fact that I am a pro-white person, white nationalist, he have come up now, the government in other words, have come up now with a claim that it was MK Ultras that were used at large against black people.
I have seen and been a part of one of the biggest threats to this great nation and its citizens. In March of 1994, I was brought in as Director of Communications for a project called Operation Sedgwick, formed under President Ronald Wilson Reagan in 1989. This program was the second stage in the project called MK Ultra.
Oh yeah.
Its focus and sole purpose was the control of the African American population and urban youth through music.
Okay, enough of this. This was published sometimes on 9/17/2013. It's now November 28. You're talking about 2 months ago. more or less. This is not the only thing. This garbage here is not the only thing, the only attempt to mix, to use my news in order to promote their agenda, basically to confuse, to cluster people. Yes, I have advertised my news worldwide in newspaper sub-comment section online for over 300,000 times, or since 2010. I think that I did make the news, so I do take credit, and I do believe that whenever I have released the news, the mainstream media have desperately released news that matched mine, and they were doing this stuff all along in order to get people confused and their 70 years old news going. This was not the only one, but it's shown at this point that they really are desperate. It is shown at this point that they're willing to do just about anything possible to get their news going. Next one. What else makes me believe they're falling apart big time? What you see here, this girl here, her name is Julia Bonk. In English, Julia. Julia is, I understand, 27 years old. They described her to be the youngest parliament member, German parliament member, and as a leftist. I hope you do understand that leftist is a communist. Angela Merkel was, and for whom I deem also to be a present communist as well. What is fascinating about this case is fact that as soon as I would release the news about what took place publicly, about what took place, and that's when I started my blog, and this is the blog that I'm now working on, against me, how I was forcefully thrown behind walls of a mental institution. It's the same thing pretty much have repeated. German Angela Merkel got her offspring to come forward with the news that it is in fact, with the news, the name of the news is Wo ist Julia? Wo ist Julia? Where is Julia? Where is Julia? In fact, the question is, who is Julia? That is the real question, to be or not to be. But it is another way, another attempt to blend my news with mainstream media fabricated. I anticipate for one to be fabricated. Please, if it's not fabricated, we'll give you some more information about that. I apologize on that part. I don't know. As I stated, the question is who Julia really is. That is really the question. Whether she was actually used as a news, or was it really, or is she actually participating in this news against me, is what it is. Yeah, they came up now with a new news that it is in Germany that people like Julia are thrown behind walls of mental institution, when in fact that's why I am here to explain that the genocide is taking place against, especially against pro-white nationalist people like myself, and that is the fact. Nobody can any longer deny that. But what they are trying to do is they're trying to convince people that this is not the case, and they continue to blend their news, their lies, with bloody reality, if you like. This bloody reality news is also designed, in such a way that is as anarchist, I would say, as possible. And when I say anarchist, I mean what you see here is this garbage here. No, it does not look German, because she is not German. Her name is Nina Hagen. and she is a Jewess, is what she is. A Jewess that have, from what I understand, is in Germany today.
Zu Zeiten des Hitlerfaschismus
You can see her talking
haben meine
here,
Eltern,
and she
waren meine
is
Eltern
pretty
schon
much
auf der Welt.
explaining from what I have
Meine-
seen that her parents were subjected to a Nazi regime and hospitalized and such and such and such and such stuff. This is related. It's an option that Angela Merkel have anticipated will go hand in hand with what they claim was forced hospitalization of the communists. Strange. What you see here is commercial, which is under the petition. Schutz auch vor psychiatrischen Zwang, and is petition, in other words, demanding a release of Julia, the girl that I have just talked to you about, this girl here that was, I understand, forcefully hospitalized. And they are really so criminal that they dare basically to suggest that an individual, hard-working individual like myself, could be used under the circumstances that I have described, have taken place, and will continue to describe in this very video, for this criminals to literally promote what you see here. Look what this is. Basically, is a nude couple that is dancing in the middle of the town, and if this is not anarchy, I don't know what anarchy is. And of course, the police comes and takes them away.
Nächstes Mal zieht euch aber einen Schlüpper an, ja?
In a psychiatric ward, this is where they find themselves, to make story short, on what communist, Jewish, which you can see here, is suggesting that everything would have been different.
Nächstes Mal zieht euch aber einen Schlüpper an, ja?
Everything would have been different if the German public,
Geisteskrank.
if the German public would fight for what would become, oh, I can't get this for you, but it would be like a certificate that would give you the right basically to, I don't know, dance nude in the public, probably do some more than pedophilia itself, bestiality, or I don't know. I find this extremely I'm not going to say provocative, but anarchist. And no, it's not a coincidence that
Geisteskrank.
what you see here is a Jewess again in the Germany doing her
Ich
job.
informiere mich unter www.patverfüg.de.
Job that we have witnessed for the last 70 years. Now, the only thing that I have to say about this is I don't want to withdraw any too early conclusions about it, speculate who Julia really is. We will learn who Julia really is, because it's all going to show up who Julia really is, and I don't want to speculate about, because of beginning of this video itself. And in the beginning of this video itself, I was very clear about that I am not fighting only for the rights of people that are involved in white nationalism, people like myself, pro-white people, but in fact for everybody. I don't know how many of you have learned or realized that there is all of a sudden there's a bunch of people that have appeared out of nowhere and are talking about anywhere from Illuminatis to reptilians and stuff like that, and they claim to see reptilians in people, Illuminatis and all kinds of stuff that makes you really wonder. Well, the fact is, as a matter of fact, is that we live, as I have explained, in a world, in a 70 years old news, where the only way to stay safe is to go undercover, completely submit to the system, and I would say stay on radar. Stay on radar, I mean publicly appear on little YouTube channels and so on, because of what people are afraid to become. And what people are really afraid to become is to be another victim of what I have talked about so much, MK Ultra project. That's why, because it is so many of our people that were subjected to MK Ultra procedures, or have had their own family members subjected to MK Ultra procedures. I will not draw any conclusions about who Julia Bonk is. The time is going to show who and what she is. But one way to stay safe, somewhat safe from the system, if system is after you, is, like I have stated, to stay on radar. Even if you publish stupidities, as long as people see you, that you are somewhere, governments know that they can't go directly after you, because you can say, hey, they're doing this or they're doing that to me, and then you have people, they would be like, hey, you can't do that and this and that. Folks, this crap is happening at large. That's why I claim also for these videos to be precious, priceless, because I plan on expanding this operation further on news that will give you the ability to participate, give you the rights, give you the base, not only base, but ability to claim per what is taking place against you. It's time to stand up against this 70 years old diarrhea news, if you like. Before I go on, a small input on what I personally believe have taken place in trio that I have mentioned. The case, Brigitte Bernhardt's case, her son Uwe. I believe that the news, as I stated, is falling apart with the speed of light. 70 years old diarrhea news, Concordia news will need, in fact, more and more people like the trio that I have talked about, due to fact that World War II veterans, Nazis are dying. It is right now that their population is they're disappearing, and therefore Jews from Israel, Simon Wiesenthal, and then the New World Order elite, Merkel, Holland, Abominator, and the rest of it will be more and more desperate for what is state-sponsored terrorism. After all, they need this news to go on. If they cannot replace Nazi hunting from the World War II veterans, then how are they going to get their news going? They need new blood. They will go after young people, especially pro-white people, and will set them up with the lies, which I'm about to talk to you about, in particular from now on, in about next 2 hours, is what I will be talking to you about, what it means to be targeted with lies, with fabrication, with total garbage. And yeah, and when it comes to your son, Brigitte Bernhardt, in case that you are watching this video, I do believe not only they have plotted to your son weapons, have promoted his participation in events which they have created, but have further also plotted, the three of them, with the bombs. And that garage, the bombs that they claim were found, I do not believe that at all. It was just a way to get their news going. I don't believe, in fact, anything else in that story than witnessing from Mother Brigitte Bernhardt. The rest of it, I don't believe anything at all. And this is what I'm heading next. We're going to be talking about psychiatric case against me personally. I will point you out how to act if, in God forbid, you find yourself in a situation as I did, what to do, what not, and how to return the favor back to them, how to fight the system back properly. We will be basically talking about lies only from here on, because that's what psychiatry is. It's nothing else than violent world of lies is what it is. And before I go on with this psychiatry world of lies, a quick reminder. In my case, police did not only go with forced unemployment, such as denying me the right to about 30,000 jobs, for which I have applied for throughout Northern America. 25,000 was in US. Then it was, the other 5 was in so-called Slovenia, Austria, Germany, Sweden and Norway. No right to lodging, no right to asylum, on 2 continents, in 5 countries basically. Was told, is recorded, that I should just get lost out of the United States, that I don't have the right even to be there as a citizen, that I'm not welcome. Was repeated that in many situations, and on one situation I was lucky enough to have a recorder handy. It was great I did that. Stalked 24/7. You were able to see yourself about how things were. And one of the things that I like to mention when she said about plotting and all that stuff, is that the governments have, in my case in particular, anticipated crime as far as pointing me out, my personal family. Amazingly, they were using my family to apologize their crime against me, to perform crime against me in this very house here in Slovenia when overseas abductions took place, to falsify, to create false accusations against me, lies, fabrications. Obviously, it seems like, but we're going to investigate it and find out exactly what's going on. And on the other hand, they have pointed me out what my family will do to me. They pretty much were pointing me out that what kind of people they are, what they're going to do, and this and that. It's also interesting that they have gone to extreme to due to their, not only that I will be complaining about this, and this will be my final refuge here, that this is where I will go and complain about it all, or exactly why I have immigrated in the United States, about this shithole known as so-called Slovenia. They have anticipated that throughout complaining procedure itself, which is like writing book, it's pretty much is, and I have in that aspect, written books and recorded videos. They have anticipated that I would go through certain stages of, if you like, psychosis, mental states, which you actually are forced to revive situations, the trauma that you have encountered throughout the life. And I think that my childhood was pretty much traumatic. So due to that fact that they have anticipated that during this complaint, which I will exercise against them, I will reach certain stages of traumas that I have experienced in the past. They have used under MK Ultra procedures also little figurines and pictures and all kinds of stuff, pictures and figurines, to brainwash me, literally telling me, you know, inciting in hatred toward my parents, and compare and make me compare, you know, choose, force me to choose under MK Ultras between what description, which one of the figurines, between which one would fit the description of my father and my mother and stuff like that, on what they would even approach me in real life and suggest me if I would never was a material that I would get into any of their crime, craziness, which they have craved for, that they would get the apology for the news. They highly have anticipated throughout this time that I will do something stupid and they will be able to say, hey, look, a neo-Nazi, this and that. Yeah, and because of that, which they have anticipated that I will go through all these stages, they would be able to actually get me in a situation where they could supply me either with a gun or something, and that I would eventually use one even against my parents during this time. That was actually, they have approached to me in real time, and I have declined, no to these terrorists. And they were like, you wouldn't do this, you wouldn't do that, no, even if we would get you a gun. And I said, and I was like, how would you get me a gun? What are you talking about? And it becomes totally clear to me that along this way they were very carefully monitoring how the situation was, what things were, and it would have been someone else that would not make himself as clear as I did about what was going on. He probably would end up with some gun in his hands. They probably would get him a weapon, I would say. My father is a hunter. He's got guns, big guns and small guns. No, it never crossed my mind any of that bullshit. I was around guns since my childhood. I went through the army and everything else. These people are lunatics. They are extremely dangerous criminals, and they are psychiatrists, psychologists, and this is exactly where we are heading next. So if you ask me about my personal opinion when it comes to Brigitte Bernhard, I'm extremely sorry that she have lost her son. But when it comes to my opinion, my personal opinion is that they probably have plotted everything. It was all set up. It's how they got their news going. And as I stated, the more of these Nazi veterans that will perish, the more they will need fresh blood to get their news going. So you got more than just to worry about what's going on. And as I stated, if I don't know if I should use the word if, but I think that it's time for you people to start acknowledging yourself, who and what you are. Come out of your shelves and be who and what you are. this kinds of stuff, that you will go, that you will go to employment office, and they will be setting you up, and they will be doing all that kinds of stuff just because who and what you are. This isn't acceptable. This never was acceptable, and it shouldn't be tolerated anymore. It is simple as that. Yeah. Parallel to the news that I have described, mainstream media garbage that was used to cloud my news, were also other big news scandals that were used in order to disperse, release, immediate, if you like, impeachment. Oh, what impeachment? Total failure, fiasco. I could use other words too, but I will not. Will refrain myself from that. A news that was used to release pressure, news that was used to ignore the real news, is how I'm gonna say. I'm not gonna say that it was not the real news, and I'm referring to birthers, so-called birthers, Obama's birth certificate issues, and then I'm referring to WikiLeaks, and I'm also referring to NSA scandal. Those are huge issues. Those should have been issues, real issues. But fact is that issues that I have stated, stuff that was done to me, against me personally, those issues were nowhere near that could compare with news that I have provided and substantiated with hard proofs, anywhere from recordings to documentations and documentation and so on. And that also included my witnessing, for which I deemed to be extremely legit. Birth certificate, birthers, of which many, no wonder, were blacks. There were rising issue about Obama's eligibility for presidential to become president. It was like, when you repeat and repeat and repeat and repeat and repeat the same thing, after a while, if it doesn't become known issue, recognized issue is what I'm trying to say, broad issue, brought up, it becomes deleted, destroyed. It becomes destroyed. I could refer to that as overkill issue, and that's exactly what the idea was about this release involved. It was one. It didn't matter, pretty much, that I was fighting for asylum, political asylums against the United States and so-called Slovenia on 2 continents, that I was denied 30,000 jobs, that I was thrown out of America, literally told, we don't want you here anymore, in garbage like this. It wasn't told. It was one this sound properly. One way to deal with it. Then it was, as I suggested, was WikiLeaks. WikiLeaks was the same thing. WikiLeaks pretty much was garbage, but it was used with a lot of pomp, with a lot of sound, noise. They were making, oh, WikiLeaks, this and that, to have diplomats point at one another, who said what said about whom, this and that, and then they have also uncovered what was the mistaken target in Iraq, which was uncovered by homosexual who have basically stabbed American white soldier that have mistakenly shot at enemy that had held in that at that point what were cameras, and because from the helicopter, from what they were able to see, they were just They have made a mistake, and it was something, it was like scandalous, something, wow, Nazis, always was about Nazis. Look what he have done and this and that. It really went along extremely well with Zionist agenda, no surprise. The only country that was immune to this WikiLeaks garbage was Israel. Maybe a surprise, was surprise to many, but was not surprise to me, because a boss, CIA man Assange, Julian Assange's boss was Jew Robert Murdoch from Australia. That's a famous multiculturalist that was also, whose company was busted in London for espionage against British. Yeah, everybody except for WikiLeaks. That was another one that they have run for long time, another emergency valve that was released before the whole thing was exploded and my news would become just too evident. It was another one, another way to cover up. And then it was the third one, and the third one was NSA scandal. NSA scandal was, for me personally, was good, because I have complained about my being totally stalked, monitored 24/7. The phones were tapped, the phones still are tapped, and I have documented and proven that that have taken place. Why, who, and how. But if I would, when I started with it, the attitude, was such, the people, the society was so brainwashed in such a direction, in such a way that it would be your, without recordings and stuff that I had, it would be extremely, it would be, the credibility would be, it would lack credibility. But with this NSA emails and stuff that I have mentioned in my videos, that they were monitored, that they have monitored not only phone when I was acquiring, even about place to stay throughout America, Sweden and Norway, that I didn't have a place to stay, that I had money in my hands, savings, and I was not even allowed to rent the place. I mean, no right to social security or job, but further, not even the right to place to stay. When I was in Canada, I had to sleep on, literally on the street for 1 week. I was almost killed on the street in shopping mall. That type of stuff was going big time, and it's really, I am grateful, thanks to Edward Snowden for his coming forward to reveal the truth about this, what kind of monster NSA scandal was and is. That's one of the things, but it was to create that overkill issue in my case, it was used extremely efficiently. This overkill issue, however, I don't think that that they will manage to control any longer. So you see, it's a lot about, not only about, as you were suggested, at least I was suggesting so many occasions in America, it is about how you say, and not so much about what you say. Well, it is true that it is how you say, but it's even more about what you say and when you say. Anyways, unfortunately for Obama's, Bush administrations, and before that Clinton's administration, this news will not go away. I believe that they lack of emergency valves. No more. Instead, my news will knock each day louder and louder in videos 97 and 98 about violent world of psychiatry, psychology, world of lies, what to do, what not, and how to act against, steps that you have to take against it if God forbid you find yourself in a situation as I did.